The Joint POW MIA Accounting Command, or JPAC, is located on the island of Oahu in Hawaii. Its mission is to achieve the fullest possible accounting of all Americans missing as a result of our nation's past conflicts. JPAC came about from the merger of the 30-year-old Central Identification Laboratory Hawaii and the 11-year-old Joint Task Force Full Accounting, and officially began operations with an opening ceremony on October 1, 2003. JPAC, commanded by a flag officer, has more than 425 civilians and military combined, with the military coming from all branches of service. The laboratory portion of JPAC is the largest forensic anthropology lab in the world and is called the Central Identification Laboratory, or CIL. In carrying out its mission, JPAC has the task of accounting for Americans still missing and unaccounted for from our previous wars. The approximate numbers are 1 from the Gulf War, 1,800 from the Vietnam War, 120 from the Cold War, 8,100 from the Korean War, and 78,000 from World War II. JPAC's highest priority is to bring home any Americans who may be alive and held against their will. We will support every effort to accomplish this priority mission. JPAC recognizes and appreciates the support and assistance of the POW MIA families and veterans, and we understand that working together in a unified effort can help ensure success. JPAC is organized to accomplish 5 primary functions in the process of accounting for missing Americans: analysis, technical negotiations, investigation, recovery, and identification. The analytic phase begins with obtaining and studying all known information regarding the circumstances of each lost incident and continues until the case has been resolved. The search for missing Americans begins with research by historians and analysts who gather information from multiple sources, including interviews with foreign and domestic witnesses and research into archival records. The work of these researchers and analysts is provided to JPAC's operations and laboratory sections. An investigation or recovery team can then deploy armed with as much information as possible concerning the location, the missing individuals, and circumstances surrounding the loss. All teams, whether they are JPAC specialists or the Defense Intelligence Agency's Stony Beach POW MIA team when working cases in Vietnam, are fully briefed on witnesses involved in any hazards they may encounter. Analysis is the foundation of all our efforts to obtain answers on Americans missing or unaccounted for from our nation's past conflicts. Carrying out technical negotiations directly with foreign governments is a function JPAC possesses that is unique among military organizations. The Policy and Negotiations section structures technical discussions with foreign government officials to ensure that positive conditions are created in their respective countries for JPAC operations. Safety will always be a paramount concern for all JPAC operations. Such negotiations and talks take place regularly with the governments of Burma, Cambodia, China, France, Germany, Laos, North Korea, Papua New Guinea, Russia, Vietnam, and other countries. It is not until these negotiations result in an agreement that JPAC can safely execute operations on the ground. JPAC's investigation teams are the eyes and ears of the organization. JPAC conducts 2 types of investigations. Research investigations focus on last known alive cases, in which the last time the missing American was seen by U.S. forces, he or she was alive and in close proximity of enemy forces. Personnel deployed to search for and document locations previously identified by archival investigations or information. JPAC maintains 6 investigation teams, consisting of 4 to 9 members with specialized skills. Their task is to obtain enough information to connect a particular site with one of our MIAs, and if a pinpointed location can be determined, a recovery will be recommended. Once adequate information has been collected and analyzed by the Intelligence and Operations sections of JPAC, Stony Beach, and DPMO, recommendations are made to pursue a recovery operation. Cases recommended for recovery have firm locations and have been tentatively correlated to a loss incident involving 1 or more unaccounted for Americans. JPAC has 18 recovery teams, the muscle of JPAC's operations. 10 teams are dedicated to recoveries in Southeast Asia, 5 teams to the Korean War, and 3 teams to recovering missing Americans from World War II and the Cold War. The typical size of a recovery team is 10 to 14 personnel. Team members include a team leader, forensic anthropologist, team sergeant, linguist, medic, life support technician, forensic photographer, explosive ordnance disposal technician, and several mortuary affairs specialists. The team leader is in command of the overall field operation and has responsibility for the safety, welfare, and conduct of the mission. His command team includes a senior team sergeant and anthropologist. The anthropologist controls the scientific process and procedures at the recovery site. There are 3 permanent JPAC detachments: Detachment 1 in Bangkok, Thailand, Detachment 2 in Hanoi, Vietnam, and Detachment 3 in Vientiane, Laos. Commanded by a lieutenant colonel, the detachments provide in-country support, including helicopters, ground vehicles, and other equipment necessary for investigation and recovery operations. JPAC has a 4th detachment commander who commands efforts involving missions in all other geographical locations of the world. JPAC maintains 8 storage facilities around the world to support missions. They are located in Hawaii, Thailand, Vietnam, Germany, Laos, North Korea, and 2 in Papua New Guinea. At a recovery site, the anthropologist directs the excavation much like a detective oversees a crime scene.
Each mission that we go on is unique, but there are certain things that they usually have in common. The first thing the anthropologist has to do is to define the site, to figure out the site perimeter. Where does the site begin? Where does it end? Once we've determined that, we will establish a grid system. Then we'll begin careful excavation of that grid system. We screen everything that comes out of the site. We carefully look at any sorts of remains, anything we believe is biological material, anything we believe to be life support or personal effects, we analyze, and then we will bring that material back to the lab.
Sites can range in size from a few square meters, as in individual burials, to areas larger than football fields for aircraft crashes. To assist with recovery efforts, teams hire local workers whose numbers can range from 10 to over 100. After a successful recovery, there are repatriation ceremonies conducted to honor the individuals whose remains were recovered and who paid the supreme sacrifice in service to our nation. An arrival ceremony is held in Hawaii with senior officers from each service, Joint Honor and Color Guards, and when available, POW MIA family members. Additionally, veterans, community members, and local active duty military often attend the ceremonies to pay their respects as the remains are transported from a U.S. military aircraft to JPAC's Central Identification Laboratory. Upon arrival at the laboratory, all remains and evidence are logged in and placed in secure areas where they remain during all stages of analysis, the science of what JPAC does.
Currently, we've got a staff of about 31 forensic anthropologists, and those are individuals who have advanced degrees not only in the skeletal analysis, the analysis of skeletal remains, but also have experience doing archaeology so that they can do the archaeological recoveries in the field. We also have 4 forensic odontologists or dentists on staff, and we approach it from both an anthropological and an odontological or dental front, and so that's the reason we have both dentists and anthropologists on staff.
When remains come into the laboratory, they're assigned to an anthropologist, and that anthropologist creates what's called a biological profile. That consists of information such as age, sex, race, stature, and any sort of medical disorders that might help us identify who that person is.
Dentistry plays a very critical role in the identification process, but it's part of the entire package. We combine the anthropological findings, we also put in the odontological findings and the material evidence. So they're all go together as a package so we can come up with an identification.
Currently, the laboratory is identifying about 2 men a week, over 100 a year. And that's a significant number, certainly, but when you realize how many men are missing, we've still got a long way to go.
I'm so proud to be an American, that they do care about all the unknowns, the remains that have not been identified. We feel like we've been treated like royalty.
These are families who have waited years for answers, and to be able to play some role, even if it's small, and them getting those answers is so incredibly rewarding.
Ultimately, the reason that you do this is one brother to another, one father to another, one son to another, because I think that's the debt that one generation has to another.
The United States government, the Department of Defense, and the Joint POW-MIA Accounting Command are committed to scientific excellence and the fullest possible accounting of all Americans missing or unaccounted for in defense of this great country. JPAC will continue to fulfill our country's promise to those American heroes and to the families waiting for their return until they're home.